in the den of iniquity. Vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment. What's a pity? Tomorrow never certain. What was behind the curtain? The face of evil lurking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble that either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble. Let the dozers gather rubble from LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso. Cannons could reach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make me get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make me get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Hello, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Case Closed. All right, we got a great topic for you today. We have a great topic. And Case Closed is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. The place to be. As you're coming in, click that like button, share the stream. We're talking about the death, y'all. The death of Black YouTube. Ain't that right, Dr. Thunder? Let's go ahead and bring people in. All-star panel as usual and arrange them out. Okay. And let's see if we can get a decent arrangement here.
Here, put me on the other side.
On the other side. Okay. Okay. Let's see.
You know what I mean, I think. Yep, there it is. Yep. And LAR from there. Yep, we're in good shape.
Okay, okay. That's the standard. It's always okay, cool. Uniformity and whatnot. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
okay.
right.
First of all, how's everyone doing? I don't know, LAR, we haven't tested your mic. How's it going in Texas? LAR movement, keep on moving.
It's hot.
It's hot. It's still hot. It's hot, but it's great. It's hot, but it's great. Shout out to Chilani in the building, Complex Design in the building, Falcon Schwarzenegger, the leader, self-proclaimed leader of the stoic Black Brit movement, trying to reclaim themselves from their dusty image, to clean up the dust monkey a little bit, shine up the dust monkey, and see if it can be sold to the white man. But anyways,
easy. That monkey talk can get you demonetized.
Exactly. You know what? Good segue right into part of the problem here, ladies and gentlemen. So let me go ahead and so we got whoa. Okay, so that's Kaizo. Kaizo changed his so Kaizo, lay down some of the facts here with regards to Fresh and Fit. So we're talking about YouTube partnership, otherwise known as monetization. Okay, that's the thing that gets you paid, okay, as a YouTuber. Not everybody listening is a YouTuber, of course, right? So we don't want to be talking shop talk too much inside baseball regarding being a YouTuber too much, but basically just means how you get paid, how you get sent money, and shared this money, including your super chats that get sent to you. YouTube takes their cut, sends you the rest of it. And also there's the AdSense stuff. That's money from advertising, okay? And insofar as Black YouTube is concerned with sensationalism of the sort that, goes outside the Overton window, then some advertisers are not going to be happy. And some advertisers are going to say, hey, I don't want this associated with me. The establishment, YouTube, can preemptively decide what they don't want to be around for their advertisers, right? So they can choose that. But anyways, we're going to get into that. Meaning we're going to get into the public square and business concerns when money, okay, meets this free speech thing, okay? But first of all, Kaizo, lay down some of the basics regarding the demonetization of Fresh and Fit, because that's the focal point here. We're going to use them as a case study for the death of Black YouTube. Go ahead, sir.
Shout out. What's good, everyone? So YouTube has two main monetization effects, right? You have the super chats, super stickers, and super thanks, right? And that is where people send you money, whether they like the show afterwards, super thanks, or during the show, super chat and sticker that makes your comment stand out. People click on it, they read it, right? There's an incentive there between the viewer and the content creator. That's number one. The second aspect is AdSense, right? Now, AdSense is the ability for you as a content creator to advertise your product and let it be bid on by advertisers. Advertisers will bid, put a bid and say, hey, look, I like this. This is within my niche. This guy is selling travel videos. I'm willing to pay this amount of money to share my ads on this person's platform, right? So now when it comes to that, those are the two main monetization perks that you can get. Now, Fresh and Fit in their main channel, which is called Fresh and Fit, they've lost the ability to do any of those. So no more AdSense and also no more super chat, super sticker, or super thanks. So that will considerably hinder majority of the earnings that they can make on YouTube. But I want to say this from the beginning, right? If they are using High IQ, they can actually advertise their PayPal, they can advertise their Cash App, Venmo. I used to make just as much, if not more money when I wasn't monetized, because you actually keep 95% to 99% of the money if you use Cash App or PayPal or the other ways of payment. Now, what they would have to do if they still want to make as much money is they have to gamify it, right? You can literally pay an engineer, like a software engineer, to make an API that will link to your OBS or other streaming platforms. So every time they send money on PayPal, Cash App, or some of these other apps, it can automatically bring up the message. All they have to do is click on it. It'll still have the same effect, right? People want to see their messages, their name up. That's why they send the money. So if they're high IQ, they can definitely resolve this using tech.
Very well put. You laid out the ways in which
Also-
people get monetized, and you lay out the kind of I'm sorry, was that Dr. Thunder?
Yeah. One more thing. Memberships, channel memberships, and actually, that's how I first became aware that their channel had been demonetized. Is that I got an email from YouTube because I'm a member. I've been a member of their channel. I got an email from YouTube saying that their membership was suspended. Right. So, and then they'll let me know when it resumes or if it will resume. And then I could also ask for my money back.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask Kaizo this question about, and then now I'm going to ask same thing to LAR and also Mr. Lion Legal here. And then Dr. Thunder will respond. Okay. So we're talking about demonetizing a channel because it's presumably not good for the business concerns of this distributor, right? YouTube is a distributor. They're distributing the stuff out there. You upload a video, they send it out through the algorithm, through whatever, to the masses, to the world. So you're using their distribution engines. They get money by advertising. They demonetize you. And people may say, hey, why? What are the concerns here? Which we'll get into. But let me ask you this. If Dr. Thunder's channel was demonetized tomorrow versus we have the Fresh and Fit demonetization, okay? Which one would surprise you more, Kaizo? Would you be like, Dr. Thunder, get demonetized, Fresh and Fit get demonetized, same thing, whatever, it's YouTube, it's crazy. Or is there somewhere it's like, okay, that one makes more sense and the other one doesn't make as much sense? Okay.
Yeah.
So Kaizo, what would you tomorrow? Dr. Thunder has been demonetized. Tomorrow, he shows up. He's streaming. Okay, he does his car thunder from his car, and he says, "Hey, it's they hit me."
Right.
Would you be as surprised? Go ahead.
No. Okay, so if Dr. Thunder was demonetized, it would be a lot more surprising than Fresh and Fit, right? Fresh and Fit have the last year and a half have been doing a lot of content that are called edgy, right? On the top of the edgelord sphere, right? Inviting WS premicists, also making crazy videos about Yahoo boys. If you guys don't know who the Yahoo boys are, Yahoo Dean, do the math yourself. I'm not going to repeat that terminology, right? So the Yahoo boys was the main reason I believe they were put on the cusp of demonetization, right? They went there, they talked a lot of crazy stuff, put up hand salutes to Yahoo about Yahoo boys during a certain war that happened previously. And I believe that inculcated with the fact that they talked about primate voices, primate sounds, and primate physical gesture expressions that put them on the market, right? What they're worried about is the same thing with the Andrew Tate effect. They're worried about sneaker effect. So being written about blogs that YouTube has become a space that hides and also envelopes WS premises. And of course, that will actually remove, forget about the investors wanting the advertisers, right? That's a false premise, right? Advertisers will advertise wherever they have the most people and the ability to make money. That's always the advertiser's cause. And also, when you advertise on YouTube, it is a campaign for a time limit. It's not a forever thing like when you're paying someone, let's say on Ike's channel, to advertise a 50-second stream, midstream. No, advertise on YouTube is more of a temporally limited thing. Advertisers don't care about that. What really matters is the investors who then look at the let's say YouTube being a component. Let's assume it's I haven't done research in this element, right? But let's say YouTube is a publicly traded company. It's now talking about those people who invest on the company with the speculations that's going on in the stock market. Those are the problems. Rumble, for example, has taken a hit, even though it's making money and it's actually having a lot of engagement and views because of the people that are using Rumble, the hit on the stock market. So it's always about the stock market, not really the advertisers.
Okay, yeah, got you. So yeah, the image of, just like with any company or with any business, image is important, but even more so with media businesses, right? With media, because their image is kind of a big part of what they're selling, right? They're selling fair and balanced, or they're selling, this is the truth, or whatever it is they're selling, right? That image is important, and therefore they're exposed. You're saying YouTube can be exposed to this kind of attack, so they can preemptively say, hey, to protect our stock, protect our image, protect this credit that we have here, which is a vital part of our business, we can choose to do X, Y, and Z. But good answer to the question. You would be more surprised if Dr. Thunder was to get lit up tomorrow, right, by YouTube. I don't know why that sounds funny, but it does, Dr. Thunder. So let's go with LAR next, and then Lion Legal. Okay, so you heard what Kaizo said. Kaizo said, hey, these people have been doing WS supremacist stuff. They're doing monkey stuff. They're doing this and that. They're doing edgelord stuff. Sensationalism. We understand that, right? Bleeds, it leads. You kind of you're on the razor's edge. Good stuff, right? What are your thoughts? Is it all the same thing? Can anybody get canceled, or is there still kind of like a logic to it that'll make you less surprised with the fresh and fit thing?
They were knocking on the door for a while, and they knew it. I mean, it's not like they got demonetized, or I guess suspended, as Dr. Thunder said. That doesn't mean that they didn't kill the channel, but their antics, for the most part, were shock jock-ish. And YouTube has this thing where you keep pushing the envelope as a shock jock, they first demonetize you, and then they kill your channel. So they know that already. And the stuff that they were doing was out of pocket. It's just, I personally think that they're, because they have this issue with black people, their arrogance took it to white people. And it didn't work the same. They got a shorter leash for that. And because I remember when they got with the Klan roll, I remember they went on like another platform and they started talking about Jewish people, and then the stream just shut down immediately. So they knew something was coming, because they keep. It's one thing to do content; it's another thing to be purposely disrespectful over and over and over again, and that's what they're doing. Like they reel it in sometimes, and then they go overboard. They reel it in, they go overboard. You have to think about it. Well, Alex Jones, they got rid of him for that. Tommy Sotomayor, they got rid of him for that. Like you said, they demonetized CGA. He wasn't even going overboard from what I remember. It's just they didn't like what he was saying per se. But everybody knows you're gonna get a notification. You're gonna get a hey, you need to chill out. You're doing too much. You're pushing a policy of hate speech. You got to do something about that, and that's what they do. I mean, I know if they expect anything different, they're stupid.
Yeah, and we'll get to their expectations and perhaps some of critiques regarding their preparation. Insofar as we know how prepared they are, if we take their word for it, it might seem like they are prepared. Shout out to Chelani, I believe, right? Shout out to you. Shout out to you for the membership there. Very, very, very
Yeah,
much
shout out to the
appreciated.
Kaizorians. Chilani is one of my people, so shout out to you for joining. The rest of my people, send some super chats, super stickers,
Yes.
and
So
support the
check
show.
it out. Check it
Much,
out though. It's not just a membership. Jelani is gifting 5 memberships.
Oh,
So
okay,
she bought,
okay.
or he or she bought 5
No,
memberships.
she's a beautiful Somali woman.
Okay. All right.
All right, to the beautiful Somali sister out there, thank you very much. Free gifts abound. So let's talk to Lion Legal, right? And then we have another panelist we're gonna get into. But let me ask you, Lion Legal, you know what the question is on the table. Are you as surprised, or would you be as surprised if Dr. Thunder got canceled? Is it all the same thing? Oh, well, Dr. Thunder does some analysis on with regards to mating and dating and strategies in that world, and the outcomes and so on. And Fresh and Fridge is doing the same thing. So what's the big difference, right? So I don't know if Dr. Thunder has come for the Yahoo Dean boys yet, but anyways, Lion Legal, where are your thoughts regarding this?
Well, I would be surprised if Dr. Thunder got cancelled because he approaches things from an academic standpoint. Fresh and Fit approach things from a prurient, abhorrent, reprehensible, distasteful, discourteous standpoint. I actually did a video on this. I did a video explaining the legal aspects of this issue. Now, YouTube has terms of service. They state exactly what you can and can't do, or else you'll be kicked off their platform. By the way, they also say that they may remove you from certain aspects of their platform. They don't even need to remove you from the whole thing. So they can say that you're not part of the YouTube partner program, but you can still have a YouTube account, which is exactly what they did in Fresh and Fit's instance. That's exactly what they did. And by the time that Myron Gaines, which is not even his real name, but that is what he likes to call himself. So when he puts on a hood and makes a lot of racially charged comments, insults people of his own community, what does he expect will happen to him? And the problem is that he felt protected because he was saying it against Black people. So he thought, okay, well, if he says it against us, basically nobody's going to do anything. But I guess he felt so protected, he thought he could do it to everybody. And then he found out, well, no, you can't. So looking at the terms of service, YouTube states that they can suspend or terminate your Google account, which Google owns YouTube, or access to all or part of the service if you, number one, materially breach the agreement you have. So that is is essentially what you agree to use the partner program, use YouTube, etc. If number two, YouTube is required by law to actually terminate you, but that does not apply in this case. Or number three, if they reasonably believe that the conduct of that person violated or is likely to cause harm. If you look at what Fresh and Fit have been doing constantly, bringing people on, trying to fight with them, insulting women, etc., anybody could argue that that could cause harm. Can they even sue for being taken off the partner program? They can't even do that because there's a law in America, which is Section 230 of the Communications and Decency Act, and it's very broad. It's very broad, and every tech company is allowed to kick you off their platform based on that law and to have legal protection if they feel that their action in kicking you off was taken in good faith to restrict access or availability of published material that is likely to be considered obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, harassing, or quote unquote otherwise objectionable.
Okay, let me
Yeah.
hold you there. Perfect place to kind of stop there. Let me ask Dr. Thunder to react, and then we'll go to the latest panelist here. Dr. Thunder, so react to, the matter on the table, basically saying, hey, is YouTube canceling your partnership program equivalent to canceling that of Fresh and Fit? Is it the same thing? Are you guys fellow travelers in the same, let's say Fresh and Fit came to you and say, hey, Dr. Thunder, we got to do something to stop YouTube from this, malfeasance. Okay. Are you in that same boat, technically, legally, ethically, morally? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, they're in the sort of push the envelope business, in the sort of some of the antics and things that were on the show, though I believe that the show is still useful as far as showing real time certain perspectives, certain views that we don't think, that a lot of people don't think that young women actually have. I think that they have shown that what it is that is being purported by certain red pill talking points is actually true. So there is a yeah. So there's that. But I don't actually think that their behavior on YouTube is what actually got them ousted. I was watching a video. O'Shea Duke Jackson did a video on this topic. He actually thinks it's from things that they did on Rumble, because Sneeko has a Rumble channel and Myron has been a guest on Sneeko's channel. And I think that footage that we've seen with the hood, that's actually from Rumble. Right. And so I think that what got them ousted, or as you will, if you will, is actually that footage circulating, not something that they actually did on their channel. Because for the most part, the stuff that they did on their channel, even the stuff kicking women out that are acting belligerent, all of that kind of stuff, and yeah, they're conservative and they say some stuff, and they've said some inappropriate stuff about melanated people, in particular. Now here's the thing. A lot of the stuff that they say about black people, see, there's a problem, because these guys are not actually African Americans, right? They're not ADOS, they're not FBA. They're actually from somewhere else, but they look like us.
I think
And when I say us, I'm talking about African Americans. They look like African Americans, but they are not. And so many of the things that they say,
LAR said fresh don't look like but go ahead.
Right.
Like a freshie, huh?
So there's an issue there. There's a sensitivity issue there. That's a problem. And even the gorilla stuff and the monkey and all that. Now, granted, those comments were to two other individuals that also are not ADOS. So that's an interesting.
Yeah. Can I add something there,
Go
Dr.
ahead.
Thunder, when you're done, please? Yeah. So, and also shout out Ike, man. You didn't give me a shout out for the
Oh
gifted donation to
You
Nazarene.
you also gifted some stuff.
It's okay.
Thank you.
It's fine.
Very much, Kaiser. And by the way, I'll let you go. But before you go, with regards to the non-ADOS guys talking, it's kind of interesting. Like, it's not only that they're non-ADOS, is that they're saying it. It's like it's cool if Kaizo does his stuff, and even if I do my stuff over here, when at least you're here, LER's here, it's fair game, right? I think it's a little different when that kind of a context is added. But anyway, go ahead, Kaizo.
Yeah, so I wanted to add a little bit context, right? So the guy that calls himself Myron Gaines, I'm guessing sure it's linked to his name as Fit because Gaines, anyways.
Moron Gaines.
Oh, right. Shut up. Now, the interesting thing with him, right? He's from Sudan. Sudan is a Northeast African country. If you look at the history of that country, these are people that claim that they're Arabs, yet they obviously are black. And if you look at the history, Sudan used to be one country separated into South Sudan and so-called North Sudan. And one of the reasons why was because they were enslaving the very dark, those people that look like they're blue, but they're actually supposed to be black people. They were racist to those people and enslaving them. So there is a history. If you look at the minstrel show that he was doing, that's why he could do it so openly, because for him, there is no, let's say, context as a Black American or in the African sense. I'm just giving a brief history here, right? Some Africans were enslaved in what's called the trans-Saharan slave trade. South Sudanese people, the ones that look blue-black, were sold by the so-called Arabs, who are actually black people, just a little bit lighter, brown-skinned people, who are actually where Myron is from. So his tribe, I'm not going to mention his tribe, but his tribe was one of the people that was enslaving people. So clearly, if you look at the minstrel show and everything, there is context there. And I wanted to just kind of clarify what Dr. Thunder was saying. Yes, unfortunately, sometimes people do look like you guys, and they're going to fall under. I make sure I'm an African so that I don't go around saying bad things about Black Americans.
And I've also seen lots of people get banned off YouTube before taking off, platform. I've never seen a group get taken off platforms and everybody's happy. Most of the people I hear talking about this said that they were expecting this to happen. They were not shocked by it. And I, for one, am a person who supports the fact that they were demonetized.
Okay, yeah, let's let Dr. Thunder land. I think he was in the middle. Kaizo kind of came in. Let Dr. land the plane there, and then we're gonna get a solo TV original panel member before he ditched us. He ditched us for better things, and now he's back talking smack in the anyways. Go ahead, Dr. Thunder.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of anyone getting demonetized. Not even for some of the things that I thought were distasteful or that maybe offended my sense of sensibility or whatever it is, or decorum or whatever you want to say. I'm not a fan of that happening. I don't like the things that they were saying, and I don't like the characterization of a certain kind of characterization of Black people as just being lazy and that kind of thing. But a lot of that comes from this sort of they're clearly bootstrap bros. Basically folks that don't acknowledge certain nuance in issues associated with the racism and systemic issues, but just point at folks that have been able to overcome despite whatever the limitations were, and but they don't acknowledge the fact that the average man, the average person, is still struggling. Despite that we had a Black president, or despite that, whatever. So that clearly is I think an oversight that they have, a lack of acknowledging certain issues. But of course, I wouldn't necessarily expect them to have that nuance because they're not from here.
It's,
I like them. I like them personally, and I met them at Donovan Sharp's CME, the first CME, and they were respectful.
CME, does that mean Kuhn and me? Oh, go ahead.
Oh goodness, Conference of Masculine Excellence. We'll be clear. Ike was with there. He went with me. So Yeah, so I don't have an issue with them personally. I don't like some of their antics. I'm not a fan of them getting kicked off. And then also, I don't actually think that stuff that happened on their platform was what got kicked them off. I think it was stuff that happened on someone else's platform, is what actually got kicked them off. So that's where I'll end.
Indeed.
Do you mind if I jump in?
Indeed. No, hold on a second. We got a couple of people, new people on the panel who've not had the chance to speak. Plus, of course, Solo TV 84, by the way, whom is a personal friend of Fresh Prince CEO and whatnot. We also have One Man Went to Mo, a fellow YouTuber, right, out here by invitation. But let's go to Solo first. Solo, were you surprised? That's like what's on the table. And by the way, we are going to get to the public square. We're going to get to the public square and business interest and where that clashes and answer the question, basically, has the public square been privatized? Right? The public square, the place where you should go and be able to stand on your soapbox and express yourself, that kind of freedom of expression. Where is it now? Well, one may say it's in the internet. And the place where you can get the widest audience, similar to the town square, are actually private companies. So, as such, should they be treated as common carriers and all that kind of stuff, as utilities, blah, blah, blah. But Solo TV 84, were you surprised at this demonetization? What are your general thoughts? And always a pleasure to have you on the panel.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, bitch ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? Since you didn't give me the link, and you've been hating from the low, so now that I can pull up and give you some smoke,
I've been taking shots from afar. Yeah,
I'm just saying you've been throwing smoke at my channel, so I'm glad to catch you live and I can throw it back. But listen, all pettiness aside, though, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Me and Fresh, we actually had this conversation 2 years ago where I said, "Hey, you guys are really pushing the envelope. What are your contingency plans?" And anybody who knows me, and I'm not trying to make this about me, but my channel got demonetized on Monday. Theirs got demonetized on Friday. I've been known to be edgy, and I've, have had some controversial content, but they've taken it to a different level, right? And even like I said, I had the conversation with Fresh, and he's like, "Oh, we have other alternative platforms that we'll jump on and things of that nature," right? But here's the thing, and to answer one of your questions, when you're dealing with YouTube, right, a private entity, which is a business, this whole conversation of freedom of speech is for naught, because at the end of the day, it's based on their terms of service, TOS, their guidelines. So you can follow the guidelines and they can still decide to get you out of here if they want you, right? Now, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't rocking with the whole KKK, Nick Fuentes type interviews. That I understand you want to pivot, but to me, that was kind of like, now you make yourself a target once you start to delve into that type of realm of content. But the reality is, as a guy who was in the manosphere back in the day and red pill content, this conversation of censorship and demonetization is nothing new. We were facing that apocalypse 6 years ago. LAR movement can tell you about that. And until we have our own infrastructure regarding websites, apps, and decentralized forms of payment, you're going to get bitched regardless wherever you go. Even if you go on Rumble and they decide, yeah, you guys are too edgy, you go on Kick, yeah, you're too edgy. Until we as men create our own infrastructure where we have our own websites and apps, we're not going to be able to talk freely. And that's just the reality of the matter. So I know people looking at this as fresh and fit type of thing, but this goes a lot deeper, because the reality is that if you think about it, if they get demonetized for what they want to talk about, you don't think that you can get demonetized? Certainly you can. So I think that people are missing the bigger picture, and that's all I'm saying.
Shout out to you, Solo. Hold on a second. Let's acknowledge the super chat, talk about the point, and then go to One Man Went to Mo. Shout out to the super chat. Thank you very much. I believe it says Andrew Walker. Right? And that's a $10 super chat. He says, I've noticed, that there's a large amount of Black YouTubers that are getting demonetized. Some people haven't been negative and still get demonetized. It's becoming more apparent that some get a pass. Yes, don't talk smack about the Yahoo boys. So One Man Went to Mo. I want you to, let's begin to address this question about the commons, the public square. I talked about the town square and the notion of freedom of speech. That idea of freedom of speech is about, well, if I go to the town square, I can stand on my soapbox and I can say, I can express myself. Okay. There is a general idea now that, well, hasn't that town square been effectively privatized, right? Google, social media, and all these other things, these are private companies, but they are indeed the town square. So do we need to start looking at these things as common carriers, as utilities, let's say, right? So, you can't deny LAR water just because we don't like how he is. We don't like his light-skinnedness and all that stuff. No water for light-skinned people. We don't do that, right? So water, electricity, common carrier type stuff, utilities, are these companies in this way? Is the public square effectively being privatized? Your general comments in that regard, sir. Go ahead.
All right. Hello, Ike, and hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Good to be here. Just to really, actually, let me come in where you've brought me in. Then I want to go back a little bit to speak on that fresh and fit, and then I will see how it goes. No, I don't actually think, I don't think the public square has been privatized. No. What it is actually the opposite. The public square has been amplified. That's really what's going on. The public square has been amplified. So yeah, wherever you are, I'm here wherever I am. And Kaizo, we know, is in somewhere in Kenya, and here we are in a public square. So the public square has been amplified and globalized. But what I think your question really is the monitoring of it, and who decides on what morality or what standards should apply to that public square. So that's a different sort of a conversation, and that seems somewhat privatized. But then there has to be rule around behavior in that space. So we go back to this. There's a space actually in the UK. I'm sure you must know it, Speaker's Square. Speaker's Corner, yes, because you know it, Kaizo, Speaker's Corner. You go there, you can curse the Queen and curse any and everything. There's absolute categorical unfettered free speech there, but that freedom does not extend beyond that square. So that somewhat concept is now what has now come into this internet space. But who guards the morality of it? That's the question. Somebody has to guard the morality of it, and the person signing the check often instances guards the morality of it. But what standards are they using to apply that morality is the wider question. Because the standard of morality, of course, it cascades right across all cultures and all sorts of worldviews. So is there commonality to that standard that is being applied? So if we go back now to the fresh and fit, the real surprise is that these guys were not demonetized and indeed kicked off YouTube a long time ago. Just total, and Nico as well, that sort of cusp of toxic masculinity, guising under some sort of a greater narrative, when it's just self-indulgent nonsense. It's very nonsensical. I've tried to engage with that space, especially that fresh and fit narrative, but I cannot just connect. I've seen them making monkey noises, wearing KKK things, and that's sufficient enough to get you kicked off. Because that there's no nuance to that. There is no greater narrative being told by that. It's just base level, crass behavior. So really, that's just how I see it. I'm not really deeply fully into that space, but just from my cursory look into that space, anytime I do deem to pay attention, I think they should have been banned a long time ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Kaizorian Empire for the super chat. Thank you very much. Yes, and he is telling you is
that the $1.41 again from Kaizo? $1.41.
$1.41 indeed. Yes, sir. From the Dusty Man and Dusty Kibera. I think that's the slummiest slum in all of Africa. But the internet is good, it seems. Anyways, thank you very much for that. And yes, one man, good points made there with regards to the standards that are used And Kaiser alluded to perhaps the origination of these standards. In other words, follow the money. We're talking about monetization after all. So we're talking about monetization, and we're talking about a company, which is a business interest. Hence, and there is a general principle that says follow the money when it comes to looking for the source, the motive power behind people's incentives and whatnot. But ladies and gentlemen, let's go back here to the table regarding LAR. Let's start with you. Should there be something done about this? In other words, one man went to Mo and said, there's no problem with the public square. It just kind of got expanded. It got broadened out. People are still allowed to say what they want, but Donald Trump not being able to be on YouTube and wherever else he's not allowed to be on, but he's allowed to say something else. Is that okay? Was there anything you would do to change this? Would you kind of say, hey, YouTube, you have to be treated now as a utility. Everybody needs to be able to say what they want and all that kind of stuff, or no? What are your thoughts on that, LAR? Just real quick, we'll go around the panel here.
Free speech doesn't mean say whatever you want without consequences. So that's the issue. Like, if you are out on the street talking to a person, you can say whatever you want to them. They could punch you in the face. That goes with the territory. And that's the same with a business. If you want to say whatever you want in somebody else's business on somebody else's platform, they could say, not over here. Get out of here. So I think sometimes we have an American entitlement or belief that, just because you feel like you can say whatever you want. That's not true. Maybe you can't go to jail for it, but technically you can go to jail for it if you incite a riot. So your freedom comes with consequences.
I want to see what Solo thinks about that, and then Lion Legal, right? Do you think, because I know you mentioned, for example, in looking forward, you talked about decentralization, right? And certain other types of things. So there's a whole kind of
Negro was funny. Didn't you just make a video about CBDC last week?
No,
this is coming.
I'm not laughing.
You know this is coming, fam.
You know
this is coming.
we were talking about crypto years ago, like back when we met in LA. But anyways, so you talk about decentralization when it comes to looking forward in terms of like what should be done. Some people are looking at institutions that exist and say, hey, here's how they should be, shall we say, modified in order to meet the standards that we expect, such as this kind of a free speech standard. And then you have this idea of, let's say, decentralization and blah, blah, blah. In other words, what should anything be happening to these social media companies with regards to government regulation? Or should people just go, hey, you know what, we're going to build Web 3.0. In other words, have a technological answer. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm asking, generally speaking, with what you think with regards to solutions, with regard to getting free speech back. But shout out to Mrs. H, once again, donating the hard to come by Somali money. Indeed. Thank you very much. And
Ike, can I answer real quick?
Go
as long as there's advertiser money involved, there's no such thing as free speech. Let me say it again. As long as there's advertiser money involved, there's no such thing as free speech. Why? Because eventually, no matter how free or liberal your platform might be, look at what's happening in Rumble right now. They got effed up in the stock market just recently. Why? Because the advertisers will dictate the terms of engagement. So you're screwed. The only way that you can have total free speech is by having power of your own platform, your own infrastructure. So what does that mean in the real world? Have your own website, your own apps. Fresh and Fit, those guys make enough money where they can do that. Heck, people in the panel, if we all pull together here, we have enough money to do that. But the reality is YouTube is the moneymaker. Why? A lot of YouTube gets the most views. YouTube is the #1 streaming platform in the world. So it's hard to get people, the people that are the viewers off of YouTube to alternate platforms. But regardless, my thing is this. You have no choice, because these entities like YouTube and Rumble and etc., they always answer to somebody else. And so there's no such thing as complete free speech. Now, the only way you can do that is you have to have your own infrastructure, and then you funnel your audience there. And Fresh and Fit, their audience is different. They have a loyal audience. They have a young, rejuvenated fan base that really rocks with them, they can get them to go over to their website, pay $4.99 a month, and then do it. If Alex Jones can make over 100 million a year off of being off of YouTube by having his InfoWars, I'm pretty sure Fresh and Fit can do very well numbers too. I don't know about 100 million a year, but they'll definitely do very well. Now, let me just say this.
Can I interject real quick?
No, hold up. I'll let you rock, brother, because you spoke for a long ass time, and I listened when you talked about this nonsensical thing. So is feminism nonsensical? Is the rise of passport bro nonsensical? Because the reality is this: there are a lot of men, Generation Z in particular, they're tired of dealing with the narrative that everything is toxic masculinity, as you say. Young men in Generation Z are tired of being scrutinized, ostracized, and criticized when they haven't even been given a chance to succeed. Young men are tired, and this is why you see the rise of Fresh and Fit. This is why you see the rise of
not really.
Hold up, let me finish. Let me finish, brother, because when you spoke, I gave you that respect. You see the rise of even Muggy Pearl. The reality is this: if you are a young man in the Western world with the freaking sacrilegious, feminist, and trans media stuff they push now, you don't even have a chance to make it as a man, because everything that's being pushed is against being a heterosexual male. So when you talk about nonsensical things, sir, you got to realize, I don't know where you're from, I don't know where you live at, but if you live in America, right now the agenda is to emasculate you as much as they can. So my opinion is to push back. Sometimes you got to push back dramatically to get people's attention. Why? Because when you do the whole Martin Luther King, oh, well, we're going to let them beat us, that's cool. But sometimes you got to be on some Malcolm X shit and strike back really hard to let the ops know that we're not playing with you, because we know that you're not playing with us.
Very well put. And one man, both in response to what Solo said and your thoughts, okay, regarding what should be done, okay, to companies such as YouTube. You know, I know you've given your general idea that no, it's an expansion, not a contraction of this freedom space. But go ahead, one man.
Yes, when I wanted to interject, I really wanted to put in the name Vitali. There used to be this chap, big on YouTube, a couple of almost a decade ago now. Vitali, he's a borderline Polish sort of a guy, Russian American. He got deplatformed, and then he decided to set up his own structures, and that was how he disappeared. So this idea that you can go and create your own entity and then funnel your crowd to that space, that has been tried and it has failed. So that's not a formula that does work. It's not a formula that does work, and there is no such thing, and I think we all know this, there is no such thing as unfettered free speech. There is no such thing. So speech has to be moderated, and your right stops where it infringes on mine. So that's the general concept of freedom. So there's no, so all of this deplatforming, and you're talking about the passport bros and how you're being emasculated in America. There's a global emasculation going on. So it's not unique or peculiar to wherever you are. So there's a global emasculation going on. But is it really an emasculation is really where the question is, or is it an evolution into, you see, the traditional male stock had some sort of traditionalist sort of lineage going back in time. But with the evolution of feminism, more freedom to disadvantaged people, a greater understanding of the world that we live in, and a more humanizing of the human person, so that the male is not unduly advantaged. That is where the world is now. So all of that trans narrative, they're just subsets of a more nuanced and a greater narrative than the emasculation of men. So all these passport bros and all these the Gen Zs and whatnot, all they are looking is for their space in the sun. So there's an evolution from tradition to a new space, and that new space, by the way, is in the cusp and the course of their life. So they are more in that new space than anyone else, and they're just trying to find their narrative. And they're not looking to reverse to back in the day, by the way, where you went to your job at 8 o'clock and the wife is in the kitchen and whatnot, they can aspire to that nostalgia, but that is not their lived experience. So they're wanting then that transmission from that sort of traditionalist old school life to now this modernist life that is taking shape, and they want to be part of that narrative. There's this guy called Austin Holliman or something like that is in Africa at the moment. Is one of you chaps, Black American or African American, whatever the new terminology is. You know, he is on that journey. So there's a journey taking place amongst young Black people to hold on to their Black identity, but still find their space in this new world that is emerging. So that's the narrative, really.
Yeah, let me pause you there. And good pointing out Austin Holloman and his trajectory out there now, talking about what he's not going to be talking about anymore. And Solo, I've seen that you've made a couple of videos about Austin as well. But Kaizo and then Dr. Thunder, the idea here is the solutions. Okay, so Ramil created stuff, right?
I thought I was supposed to go.
Okay, so Kaizo and then you. Okay, no problem. But it's the same question. Not everyone has, we're still going around, right? Same question about what is to be done with regards to the funneling, right? So basically, YouTube is a distribution kind of center, okay? Distribution means marketing and sales, typically speaking, whether you're selling MP3s or you're selling a service even, okay? You need these distribution networks and, to help market and push things. And then there are ways of funneling stuff. Ramil, for example, funneled people to his new site, right? And Ramil tested out the system in a way where he figured out that he had a draw. He would quit YouTube and then come back on YouTube. Not everybody may know Ramil, but I'm describing the kind of a person that could quit YouTube, come back from YouTube, draw hundreds of people to a live stream that he just impromptu created, and then he funneled those people to a site where he does the same kind of thing, the same kind of commentary and whatnot. Okay, so Kaizo, with regards to things that could be done, Solo brought up the fact that there's certain things you can do with regards to funneling people elsewhere, but YouTube still is effectively the town square, the biggest place, right? One man went to Mo also kind of emphasized that point that, look, there is no such thing as quote unquote free speech, blah, blah, blah. So what can be done? Is the Ramil model a good model? I think there are many people out there that have been able to, or people, let's say that just businesses that use YouTube as a distribution arm for marketing and such, and don't get all worried when YouTube demonetizes them. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I want to start off by saying that you don't need to funnel people to a different platform. They already have Rumble, etc. That's not really the issue, because if you look at it, yeah, they'll still be able to make money on Rumble, for example. The issue is not that, right? It's the kind of money that they're going to make. I'm a
content creator. What I'm saying is, okay, so if you had set up your system such that, you've been selling these courses, so I'm talking about all the things you do outside of YouTube, right? And you have the infrastructure you've been rinsing and repeating with regards to product market fit on your outside products, whether they be courses or little gatherings and or conferences that you hold where you come in and you do your multi-level marketing, whatever your scheme is, right? If you've been building this thing outside and then you come to YouTube and use it as a channel, such as, let's say, Grant Cardone in a large scale, right? Let's look at a very large scale type of person that uses YouTube as a marketing for all his businesses. Then yes, you can make all kinds of money, right? And still make money on YouTube too. But anyways, go ahead. Just give me some pushback there. That there are things that can be done.
Right. So let me give an example of things that can be done right now that will actually work, but people don't have that real-time intuition of being able to leverage their platform, right? You can literally go right now to, in fact, One Man One More is a testimony there, right? You can go to Buy Me a Coffee, right? You set it up with your OBS. Someone sends a message, sends a money on it. You can do a real-time resolution on it, and you can do the same thing you do on YouTube. People ultimately want to see their name light up with the question and engagement. Secondly, they do have to humble down. Before, they could just take the money and the donations and not have to say everything. But now, if they do use this new model, they do have to hire someone. It's not that expensive. You can use arbitrage, use an African or someone who will do it for you, click the links and engage with you, right? And you won't barely have to pay them peanuts, right? If you want to. Use a Buy Me a Coffee directly. You don't need any API. Just have a second screen. And you can use OBS to put it on one of the screens, right? On a small section there. So that's already one simple example. It's just like Play Store, aka Google Ads on YouTube. Simple issue. Still same platform. Just you set up the link for buy me a coffee. Same model, just be a little bit more humble. Now you have to engage every comment to increase the engagement. That's one solution. As I mentioned earlier as well, with PayPal, Cash App, you can literally write an API that links all of those into OBS, and you click on the same situation. So there is no real issue about them being demonetized if they are high IQ. And also the great caramel or caveat is that they keep 95 to 99% of the money. YouTube won't take that 30%. I'm actually technically, minus your crazy Kevin Samuel super chats, Ike, on my channel, I'm actually making less money than I did before I was monetized.
Okay, so
I
real
don't
quick,
yeah.
Lion Legal, and then to Dr. Thunder here about how perhaps Fresh and Fit should have. We know what you feel about Fresh and Fit, Lion Legal, but what can be done regarding not being so dependent upon YouTube, right? Effective ways to partner with YouTube, for example. Let's take another example. Joe Rogan was an example who just kind of cut a different deal somewhere else, right? YouTube wasn't even trying to cancel him. He was just like, you know what? I'm big and I'm this and I'm that, and I don't really like this particular distribution partner that I have. I'm going to Spotify, that kind of a thing, okay? So within the media space or within the whole space of maybe selling courses, selling other kinds of things, and using YouTube correctly, what are your general thoughts here?
Well,
okay, Lion Legal.
In order for them to go to a different platform and try to get big there would have to be people that can easily change the content that they have and are versatile in that sense. They are not versatile. They need to have, people on the platform, women on that they can argue with. If there aren't women on there that they can make fun of, insult, etc., their viewers are not going to be interested. These are Fresh and Fit are not particularly intelligent people. That's why you never see them talking by themselves on the platform and having high engagement. So most of the people that come to see them come for controversy. And then also to traverse back to the point that you asked me before, but I didn't get to talk about, is essentially the free speech issue. A tech platform does not have to provide people with free speech. Free speech, especially in the States, is covered under the First Amendment, whereby it prevents the government from curtailing an individual's free speech. So a tech platform can say, don't talk about any issue that they don't want you to talk about. Now, should that be allowed? No, because tech platforms are so powerful that they can influence lots of things, even politics. But am I in favor of YouTube being forced to accept things on their platform? I think it would be better if, for example, the government gave tax breaks to platforms that did state that they would adhere to free speech principles and only kick people off if they did anything that could be considered illegal, rather than having people that tilt on one end of the spectrum to the other. And to go back to the original question of what can they do? To run a business, you have to be smart, creative, industrious. Fresh and Fit are not any of these things, really. So if they go to Rumble, Rumble doesn't really pay anything. Anybody that started the channel on Rumble sees that the pay there is minuscule. There's one particular other platform now that is starting to pay creators, but it's not transparent. So sometimes you'll have people with, for example, 10 million subscribers, and they get paid less than a person with a 500,000, 500,000 or so. So there's one particular platform that I don't want to name because I don't even want to give Fresh and Fit any advice on how to improve their nonsensical behavior. But basically, it'll be tough for them because I don't believe that they have the intelligence to figure out how to diversify. For example, Andrew Tate already had a business, so when he got kicked off, financially, he was not going to be hurting at all. If you don't have that kind of framework set up and you treat YouTube as a job, this is the last thing I'll say on this. If you treat YouTube as a 9-to-5, you go there, you get the money, you don't invest, etc. Of course, you'll suffer because I've already seen the games that YouTube can play, especially with Black creators that are not even doing half of the stuff that Fresh and Fit has done, that are not insulting anybody or trying to be controversial. So it's not a job. What it is it's basically an entertainment platform, almost like you're a TV show host or a TV presenter. 1 minute you'll be hot, the second minute you might not be. So unless you can figure out other things to invest your money into, like Ali, there's a guy from Cambridge who's a doctor and who started the YouTube platform. It got so big.
Ali Abdub.
That he quit being a doctor. He quit being a doctor, a Cambridge educated doctor, and became a full-time YouTuber, and then started a business and diversified from there.
Yeah.
Do you think Fresh and Fit have that same type of
yeah, okay. Good. On the points of things that can be done, one of the main things that you've said there is, if you have a business whereby you can use YouTube to augment your distribution arm, right, which is marketing and sales, as a aid to marketing and sales. We understand this, like media as a distribution arm, as you know, as old as since whatever, you know, in terms of newspapers, billboards, Times Square, and advertising, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. But if you want to go full time, like, hey, I'm a YouTuber 100%, right? Then that means you're a media person, and it'll be stupid to depend on one distribution. YouTube is not your job. If you're a full-time media person, then you're a full-time media person, right? You should be something that exists outside of YouTube, of which YouTube is just one of your distribution mechanisms, right? So it'd be stupid to say you're a YouTuber. You should be some, you know, whatever, X company that is a media company that uses YouTube as one of its distribution arm. Or you could be a business. I don't know. You're doing engineering, you're doing real estate, whatever it is you're doing, and you use YouTube as a distribution arm for marketing and sales and all those other kinds of things. 100%. But let's go real quick to Dr. Thunder and then LAR. The question's still on the table, okay? And let me broaden it back up, because people have said many particulars. But if we go back to the notion of the public square, right? And has the public square been effectively privatized? Where does it still, in other words, Dr. Thunder, the whole image of, okay, the public square, the town square, you go out there with your soapbox and you can say things. But now it's like you have to take that soapbox and walk into a private business, a private, you know, because that's where everybody is now, okay? And it's this private business in the internet. And is there anything that should be done with regards to the imaginations that, let's say, the framers of the Constitution and whatnot had when they said, hey, this town square and ability for people to express themselves is important, okay? But if it has become completely privatized now, and this, by the way, is no judgment. YouTube 100% has a right to do what it does. And I don't think that these things should be kind of taken down in some kind of a, hey, there'll be monopoly way either. I'm just asking perhaps a philosophical conversation about, is that town square lost? Has it been privatized? Or does it not matter, as one man to Mo said, you know, it doesn't matter. It's just been kind of distributed and made more complex or whatever. If I'm making sense, Dr. Thunder, answer the question which perhaps can be concisely put as, has the public square, the town square, been privatized? And then we'll go to LAR.
Lead attorney's in the building. What's happening, lead attorney? Yeah, this is tricky. And I think that, you know, technology, as it evolves, as it creates different sorts of opportunities, what's going to happen is the laws will change, right? Laws will change. And so you have to kind of roll with the punches. If you think that you're going to be able to just do anything that you want to, you know, with the kinds of terms of services, and then also just with the overall bias in a particular direction in agendas that are being expressed by a lot of these big tech organizations, if you think you're going to be able to just, you know, roll unimpeded, that's just not how it's going to work. Now, I actually happen to think that Myron and Fresh, you know, there's one of the things that people do is they will try to attack folks' intelligence, either when they're jealous or they don't actually have an argument against, or if they wanted to basically let's put it this way.
Yeah, I think Lion Legal superfluously attacked. There was no point. He had a point, like he made his point, and then started adding the intelligence part, which is completely irrelevant. And by the way, I think that Fresh Prince CEO is good at the marketing thing that he does. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's a problem, because it's a problem because it takes away from the obvious charisma, the obvious skill, talent associated with creating a platform that is the size of the Fresh and Fit platform. It's a huge platform, and not everybody has the capability, the skill set to be able to do that. And if people did have that skill set, they most certainly would do it. And so, purist aside, if a purist could do, or if someone that is not willing to discuss or be seen making some of the points that they make, if they could do what it is that Fresh and Fit do another way, they would do it, but they can't. And that's why, and that also ends up making a platform like the Fresh and Fit platform. That's what ends up making it a big target. Okay. Now, again, I will say I'm not a fan of them being deplatformed. They haven't been deplatformed actually, but I wouldn't be a fan of that. I'm not a fan of them being demonetized. However, it is likely and possible that something that they did violated some of the rules. And if it violates the rules, then this is what can happen to you. And I think to other people's argument about they're surprised that they lasted as long as they did. Well, they were making a lot of money for Google, for YouTube. I mean, all of those super chats, even if you don't count in the AdSense revenue for the replays, you don't count in membership revenue and all that, which YouTube gets a cut of all of that stuff. Just with the super chats, we know that YouTube is taking 30% off the top. So they were making plenty of money. They were making plenty of money from Fresh and Fit. So that'd be a reason why they would drag their feet, to eventually demonetize. I actually suspect that there may actually be a process. I know they have to reapply for monetization. They could get it back, but they probably would have to change some things because they wouldn't be able to just do the same stuff that they do on their platform. They'd have to eliminate certain things. One last thing I want to say, and this is also counter to what Lion Legal was saying, this business about that they can't keep an audience watching them with them just conversing or when they have different folks on, other than basically the women. That's not true. That's not true. Now, frankly, we know that they built their platform on these shows with girls, but and it could be in the middle of the day and they'll have 5,000 live viewers and they'll be talking about finances, or talking about fitness, or talking about divorce law, or talking about any number of other things. So I think that's a bogus, assessment. So.
All right. Shout out to one man, went to Mo. He came in and gave his perspective, his sociological perspective regarding the journey that the generations are doing and the transition from traditionalism to whatnot and so on and so forth. Now, we are talking about the nexus of what is called the public square and business interests. YouTube is the biggest private public square that there is. Okay. There are good ways, shall I say, of partnering with them, good with regards to your ends. What are your ends and how am I going to use this particular tool? You could get lost in the sauce. You could get lost in the gamification of YouTube. YouTube may have gamified you to the point where you think that YouTube is your job, as opposed to thinking of YouTube as a particular tool that you're using for your job. Even if you're a 100% media type person, well, YouTube should just be one of the media that you're using, if you will, one of the distribution instruments that you're using. Okay. And again, whether it's 100% media or you're using YouTube for your real estate business or for your engineering business or to recruit people for XYZ, whatever it may be, to channel people and funnel people into some other crazy multi-level marketing scheme that you got going on, whatever it may be, don't lose sight of the fact that it's a private company and a distribution mechanism. So LAR, we're going to get to you real quick here. And then we're going to play a little bit of this clip, but your thoughts, generally speaking, what has been going on, you know, thoughts regarding like what should be done, what should they have done, right? Can anything be done? Can you funnel things here? Can you funnel things there? And also, should we do something with regards to, or what should we think with regards to this quote unquote public square that was a thing back then and we thought it should be protected? Is it sufficiently protected within the halls of private companies? Or, and in other words, it's not a big deal, you know, we'll be fine. We get to say what we want to say. But we just deal with the consequences. Go ahead.
Okay. First, they're going to do what many controversial YouTubers have done before. Tone it down a little bit, add a few more channels and diversify the message through the different channels. And then it's going to be harder to mess with. The other thing is, you know, they can also say what a lot of other people have said before. YouTube is hypocritical when it comes to stuff like this, because YouTube has promoted and pushed some very controversial type people and messages that they never took down because it fit the agenda of, you would say, their management or their office or whatever. So what you've seen people come and go on this platform, that's just normally how it goes, you know. I think their probably biggest mistake was they did some of the same things that other big YouTubers did that got their channels demonetized or taken down, or they just somehow magically weren't in the algorithm as much as they were previous to that incident or those incidents. So, you know, really, because demonetized doesn't mean, you know, it'll be demonetized forever. It might just be for a period of time. But if they just tone it down and, you know, in that probationary period and say, you know what, while we toning it down, we're going to have this Fresh and Fit channel and that Fresh and Fit channel. We're going to upload this to that one and this to that one and this to that one. And then, you know, that's what other guys did. The only problem with that would be if you keep the same antics up on multiple channels, then they get rid of you altogether.
Well, shout out to the super chat. Thank you very much. Anti-Gravity says Dr. Thunder is right, but Steven Crowder made way more money for YouTube than Fresh Fit. Money isn't only the factor. Yeah. So, you know, the only factor type of talk is always a truism, right? Yes, these things are multifactorial. Perhaps some of these are overdetermined, many proximal and efficient causes. Shout out to Aristotle. But let us go ahead and just play this short clip here, and we will continue with Solo TV 84, Kaisorian Empire. Shout out to you, ladies and gentlemen, for clicking that like button and sharing. This is Case Closed, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. And fair use. Shout out to the lead attorney here for the playing of this clip here.
Saving children, right? That was great, but saving you guys is better.
Lead attorney here. People wanted me to react to this. Now, why is that? Fresh and Fit doesn't really care for me too much.
What do you guys think about the lead attorney?
No comment.
X.
Yep.
Hell no.
People want to know if I'm happy about what has happened to their channel. They want to know if I'm going to take a victory lap. Well, I am not happy, and this video will not be a victory lap. For those who don't know, Fresh and Fit's channel was just demonetized yesterday. Now, Abba from Abba and Preach had predicted this over a month ago.
You know, if you're proud of this, congratulations, brother. You played yourself. I don't think there's much to be said. I wouldn't be surprised if the YouTube channel gets deleted.
Everybody realized it was just a matter of time when you had that tall guy sitting there in the Ku Klux hood, even though it wasn't very surprising, being that he had made some racist commentary on his channel in the past. Racist commentary that I called out. So maybe it's me. Maybe you don't have a problem. Anybody in the chat have a problem with this Fresh and Fit guy insinuating that Preach is an ape, a chimp? You know, there was this video on Reddit where this
real quick here. Can you pause? Notice that that's Rumble. That was the point that I was making earlier. That wasn't even on YouTube. That was on Rumble, that clip that he just played.
Yeah. So it good point there. Now I was also going to pause it right there and start getting reactions here. I know Solo and then Kaizo. Solo, you already mentioned having a conversation, right, with Fresh Prince CEO regarding pivoting. A couple of years ago, you said, right, regarding pivoting, what can be done. Maybe you guys are pushing the envelope too much in this area, too little on that area. In your general assessment, because I believe, well, first of all, what are your thoughts regarding, the clip I just played? And then in your general assessment, again, did they do the right kinds of things? Because I think Myron said that they're okay, right? They'll be fine. They go ahead, Solo, and then Kaizo.
But before I get to that, since everybody else spoke, I was actually actively listening, so I got a page of notes. I'm gonna get through that real quick. And don't worry, I'm not long-winded like some of you guys. So somebody was talking about earlier, it didn't work for Vitaly when he tried to pivot to another his own channel or website. It worked for Alex Jones. Once again, Alex Jones made over $100 million in 1 year, 190 million to be exact. When you have an audience that really resonates with your message, it's not just some teeter-totter type stuff like Logan Paul or some vlog channel, but a channel that actually resonates with young men. We're talking about young men that are disenfranchised, young men that are lost, young men that are looking for purpose and guidance. When you have a channel like that, whether you agree with Fresh and Fit or not, there are a lot of young men that resonate with them because of the fact that society has left those men disenfranchised. They will be fine. Now, when we're talking about the reverse back in the day, Pandora's box has already been opened up. So how do you, if you're not able to make profit by having your own infrastructure, meaning your own website and app, how do you do that? Then you have to create your own tribe, okay? Whether it's in the digital world, we're entering now into the space, as Ike mentioned about half an hour ago, Web 3.0, where we're talking about the metaverse. Apple is coming out with the virtual reality augmentation headset that you'll be able to buy next year for $3,500. We're moving into a different realm with technology, AI, and VR that a lot of people are still sleeping on or they don't understand. Moving on, next topic. What is done to be about the funneling? The easiest way to deal with the funneling is to abide by the TOS, the terms of service. But unfortunately, as content creators, we like to push the edge or go above the edge, meaning cross the line when it comes to TOS. So there are other websites such as Patreon, Locals, Rumble, Kick that are a bit more liberal when it comes to that. However, those websites, in my opinion, if they're not decentralized, then what the fuck are we talking about? Excuse my language. The Ramil model works. You don't need 1 million people. Ramil has proven that you don't even need 10,000 people. You just need people that really support your message. Ramil is very entertaining, but he also spreads some real information. That's what I think makes Ramil who he is, okay? Demonetizing isn't just about making money. YouTube incentivizes promotion of your channel if it's profitable. So what I mean by this is because of the fact that Fresh and Fit are now demonetized, YouTube has no incentive to promote their channel. However, here's how shady YouTube is, and this is what a lot of people don't realize. Even though Fresh and Fit are now demonetized, YouTube will still slap advertisements that are friendly enough to engage with Fresh and Fit and make money off of them regardless. So when YouTube says Fresh and Fit are demonetized, let's emphasize that Fresh and Fit are demonetized, but YouTube will still continue to make money off their channel. Now, I truly believe in about 2 to 5 years, there will be a decentralized platform that may compete with YouTube. I'm not saying it's going to be bigger, but I'm saying a decentralized platform. And we know that with elections coming up, expect more demonetizations, shadow bans, and censorship in general. The public square, Ike, to address that question, has been privatized depending, let me say that clearly, depending on the platforms they choose. I've been preaching about decentralization since 2017. I've been using platforms since 2017, such as Minds and Steemit. Unfortunately, nobody cares. Nobody's on those platforms. So whoever comes up with the concept of a decentralized platform that has a catchy or friendly user interface, they're going to be a trillionaire. Whoever it is that is able to develop it in the Web 3.0 era, if they're able to have a very user-friendly interface that'll get a lot of people's attention, they're going to be a trillionaire off top. Now, media is changing. Traditional media is getting their ass kicked by social media due to the fact that traditional media has been compromised. We know that. Social media, you can get the news faster and more readily. You can also get the news raw, where you're not being manipulated. A perfect example of that is, for those of you who've watched the Depp versus Amber Heard documentary on Netflix, that is a perfect example of manipulated media. They try to swing this whole thing that Amber Heard is the victim and that Johnny Depp only won because of social media. No, it's bullshit. Amber Heard is an evil person. She took a dump on this man's bed. She hit the man and said, "Are you going to tell the world, Johnny, that I beat you?" Ha ha. Like, and the media is trying to portray her like that she is the victim, that she is innocent. Why? Because it serves them right. Now, general assessment of this clip, Ike, and I know Ike is rolling his head right now, thinking to himself in his Igbo voice, why did I let this nigga come on my channel? Here we go. The general assessment is this. The lead attorney understands something that a lot of people don't understand. If they come after Fresh and Fit, they will come after other channels, and your channel included. Why? Because they'll make Fresh and Fit an example, but all of this is leading to censorship. If you're not buck dancing to their agenda and talking about what they want you to talk about, or whatever, what have you, then now you're dealing with censorship and demonetization. And once again, let me be clear. I don't agree with everything Fresh and Fit did. And also, I've mentioned this before. My channel got demonetized on Monday, but it wasn't because I was talking crazy. It was because I was using copyrighted music. The reality is this. If we're really men, right, that we claim to be, especially on this panel, then we have to think outside the box. And this is why I'm 5 years ahead of your favorite YouTuber. Decentralized platforms will be the wave. Why? Because they're going to keep clamping down, right? So you're going to have to think of other ways to spread the message out. If the audience really fucks with you, they will come. InfoWars already showed that they will come, right? But the reality is the average manosphere content creator doesn't understand business. They're too cheeky. They're too lame to understand that if you really believe in the message, you're going to stand by it. A lot of niggas just want here to get some super chats and maybe have Keisha sliding in the DMs so they can get some neck. That's why these niggas is finished. That's all I got to say.
Word them up, word them up, word them up, word them up, word them up. Hey, look, Solo, taking notes, responded point by point. You have much improved, my son. Kaizo, you are next indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, we've gone the whole gamut, starting with, would we be surprised if Dr. Thunder got demonetized tomorrow? Okay. And going through the idea of the public square and when it clashes with business interests that may have to do with advertising, interests that may have to do with the image of YouTube and the stock prices thereby or therefore. So Kaizo, okay, your turn now to chime in on the current topic, which is about the future and the clip we just played and whatever else you may want to talk about as we start to land the plane here. Go ahead, Kaizo.
Shout out. So if anyone else wants original music, whether it's subscription model or outright ownership, just contact Ike, right? He's got loads of musicians to make that happen, right? So you won't have to get demonetized like Solo Her 84. Anyway, so let me go deep into this, right? If you look at the whole situation, and I keep saying this, right? You can they're literally proven Snicker bar model, right? I calls it table logic. Buy Me a Coffee is a great platform. You don't have to worry. As long as you're not kicked off YouTube like Andrew Tate et al., you can still make money by using these platforms, PayPal, Cash App, and Buy Me a Coffee. Buy Me a Coffee is great because brings up your message automatically there. You just have to refresh it, right? You don't even have to get the API that I was talking about. There are tech-driven models to still make you make money. And I stated, I'm a living proof. I made loads of money before I got monetized by using that model. And my channel is tiny. I barely made a couple thousand the other day, right? So there's that. Now, what I want to add here is this, right? I want to ask all the people over here on the panel, if they can actually answer this, it's great. If not, it's fine. But are you guys focusing on a Black Manosphere multimedia network? Are you guys all part of some kind of multimedia network where you can share each other's platforms, have some kind of general but not too specific understanding of what you are? Because if you do,
brother, not to cut you off, but we had this conversation in 2017, and shout out to LAR. LAR was the only dude that was willing to put his money where his mouth is. The rest of the people were just capping. So I'm not trying to be dismissive of you. I'm just telling you that this conversation has been had before. And the reality is, unfortunately, when it comes to as a collective, it's not going to happen. If you're a nigga, you got to do it your fucking self.
Right. Okay, fair enough. So I'll dead that aspect there for a moment, right? For right now, for example, myself and One Man Went to Mo, shout out to the £2 super chat, and a couple other people like we are trying to do that, right? Even this case shows that is part of the whole scenario, right? It's a multimedia network of channels. Everyone here is a content creator, etc. I believe that's the only way forward, right? Because if we do help each other, promote each other, if someone does set up their own station, what they're able to do is promote their channels and make sure at least the personhood. For example, Solo TV84, I remember your channel, right? I remember the Sim Tales. Bro, you got to set up another channel and do that stuff, because that stuff was fire, right? It is what it is, right? That stuff was fire. I still remember it, right? Back in the days. So my comment is this, right? We have to leverage the current situation of tech, find the tech solutions to this problem. I doubt that YouTube will kick any of us off, because I don't think any of us are so off-range in terms of large size or influence, or let's say going against the zeitgeist. None of us are so anti-X to be on that extreme, but we can't get demonetized as has happened. I suggest that we use the tech models that I'm suggesting here. API for the whole OBS, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, buy me a coffee stuff, and then still link up the message so people can still donate. And also, if you don't want to do that yet, just use buy me a coffee. You can just update the website there, and it will show up the messages, and you can still bring it up to allow us to move forward. And I would say creating a platform is difficult. Even if we have users, we have issues, so a database, bandwidth, which unless we find a very successful way to monetize and get ads and, make it sort of, user friendly, that's going to be very, very difficult. So I suggest we create a network and build up the personality model, like Tommy Sotomayor, whether you like him or not. That guy is able to move audience one side or the other because of the personality.
Dr. Thunder, I don't know if you wanted to expand upon what you commented when I was playing the lead attorney's video. In other words, the idea of
sure. I mean, so and some folks are making some comments in the chat too that I think are pertinent. So for instance, let's see here. I mean, I made my comment about how it was on Rumble, and somebody jumped right in and said, but they still represent YouTube and are affiliated. Right. So one thing to recognize is that, and that sort of was my point, that there's certain terms of services in being part of the affiliate program, which means that it's not just about you presenting information on your platform. It's sort of like whatever you say, no matter where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so then they can get you that way. And, there's those terms of service that nobody reads. They're hiding a lot. Well, it's not hiding, actually. They're actually saying what it is, but it's sort of hidden in plain sight, I guess. We'll put it that way. Because, when documents get beyond a certain length, that's when Dusty Ninja stop reading. So you have to understand what it is that you're signing and conduct yourself accordingly. Now, like I said before, I do think that, you know, as technology continues to develop, there's going to be, you know, people will adjust to what the new technology is. And there will be a solution for this problem. And I have seen a number of folks, Donovan Sharp has SharpStream, for instance, and he was one of the first folks creating his own platform. He has his own platform. So if he wants to do something, and he does a lot of like he'll review dating shows. That's something that he does, gives a blow by blow, but you can't do that on YouTube because of the copyright issue.
Shit. Who's watching that? These 18 to 25-year-olds, respectfully, Dr. Thunder, they're not watching Donovan Sharp. They're watching Fresh and Fit. They're watching Pearl. They're watching Steph is Cold. So I'm talking about these. Let's keep it to the younger generation and not these old niggas that are washed up.
Well, I mean, I think you're presuming what it is that I'm talking about, and I'm not necessarily restricting.
I'm not presuming anything, but I know for a fact these young niggas are not watching Donovan Sharp. They're watching Fresh and Fit. They're watching Steph is Cold. I'm trying to get the young niggas' minds, the young generation, the young brothers. I don't give a fuck about a nigga that's 45 or older. If they don't get it by now, they're finished, in my opinion.
Okay. So my point still stands. The point is not about the age of the person using the platform. The point is about getting around copyright issues, and also not having to restrict what it is that you say and how you say it, because it's a platform that you yourself own. That's the point. Now, if people are watching it or not, that sort of goes against the point that you were making earlier. The point you were making earlier about how people, you know, somebody like Ramil was able to basically go to a different platform and people will follow them there. You used the Alex Jones, who I think is older than 45, by the way. You used Alex Jones as an example. My point is that it is possible, but you just have to figure out how to do it. And as people get more savvy with technology, I think they'll figure out some of these other options. Otherwise,
right. So we agree
it's done.
That decentralization is the path forward, because that's the only way you're going to be able to have free speech in the future. You're not going to be able to come up.
That was my whole point.
You do realize, Dr. Thunder, that basically what YouTube just signaled to everybody is that red pill content creators, they're finished. If they're coming after Fresh and Fit, you don't think they'll come after me and you? Because we didn't make YouTube a fifth of the money that Fresh and Fit made them. So that tells me right there, we're done in this space. Now, there is a way to survive. You can curate your message, make it, you know, TOS friendly, all of that. But we both know, Dr. Thunder, the truth is, especially when we talk about these young brothers, they're not going to watch it, right? So the reality is this. My only argument is this. At the end of the day, when we talk, I'm trying to reach young black men so that way they don't have to go through the shit that I went through. They don't have to go through the shit that I hear Coach Greg Adams had to go through. I'm trying to reach to these young guys. When I talk about 45 plus, it's not to be dismissive, but at the end of the day, a 25-year-old is more apt to listen to you and follow the advice than a 45-year-old who's too stubborn and think they already know it all. I don't even hang around old niggas. I'm just being honest, because at the end of the day, if you're not willing to listen and you're not willing to evolve, then I can't do nothing for you. That's all I got to say.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, you're hanging around this old Negro right now, but anyhow, I don't think that age necessarily means that you're not going to learn anymore. I think that is generally true, but it's not necessarily true. And I think people that are having this conversation, regardless as to what their age is, that's evidence that they're concerned about this issue. And are interested in developing some solutions for this problem. One of the things in my conversation, in my sort of back and forth with Ike on WhatsApp when we were discussing what the topic was going to be for today's show, is the thought that if it's the thought that you just expressed, and that is, if they're coming after Fresh and Fit, I also think that Dennis Sperling's channel, to my knowledge, I mean, I can't confirm this, and maybe somebody else can confirm this, but I think that his channel also is demonetized. And that's why I saw a second channel, Blizzard King channel, and I don't know if this is a temporary thing or what the heck, or what's going on with it, but this could be a sign that a number of folks could be in the crosshairs. So I totally agree with that sentiment.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start landing this plane, okay? We're way past that hour and a half mark, and it's been a great show, okay? It's been a great show, and we got the active, lively chat, dropping the super chat. Shout out to One Man, went to Mo, and I will go ahead and do the recall of the show sponsors later, but we're going to start landing the plane here with LAR, okay? Many things have been said. You've been relatively quiet. I know, you know, some people were bogarting the mic and whatnot, including myself. But your final thoughts on this whole thing, okay? The whole gamut of the conversation. We're talking about the best way to interface with YouTube, the best way to be a partner with YouTube, all the way through to, well, should you, is a particular kind of content completely done? Is it dead? Is it over? And then what should you be, how should you look at YouTube? But anyways, that including anything else you want to add with regards to the specifics of Fresh and Fit and whatnot, and whatever else you want to beef with Solo about, because he's here for it today. So go ahead, Eliar.
The Vikings and the Timberwolves suck. So do the Minnesota Twins. But
boom, there you go.
Back to the topic.
I know why you mad. You still owe me,
yeah,
you still owe me money, nigga. Facts.
I thought I paid you. Shit. Okay. As long as I owe you, I'll never go broke. The issue, I think the biggest issue with Fresh and Fit, in my opinion, at this particular point is, and YouTube in general, the same thing that will make you viral is the same thing that they'll demonetize you for. So when controversy sells and controversy gets views and how can I say, salacious material gets promoted, and even, you know, that's what part of the shorts is for, and people show up and they're entertained by that. The same thing that drives this platform money is the same thing they'll demonetize you for. But also, everybody should know the threshold by now. You get, like, think, like, people would somehow forget, and content creators, I don't understand how they forgot. You know, PewDiePie basically caused the whole ad apocalypse. So people knew. Like, then they went to the conspiracy theory thing, caused the whole issue. You know, of course, then it became the kind of the homophobia thing, caused the whole issue. You get what I'm saying? So now, that's part of the issue. Like, they were in that realm. I can't necessarily say racism, because YouTube has this habit where if you're really disrespecting Black people, that's really not an issue with this platform. Now, when you get above disrespecting Black people to other people, then it becomes an issue. So that's, to me, we're going to always have this kind of issue, especially in the Black community online. So that's the crux of it. They know the stuff that got them hit up. And even if it was on Rumble, the problem is what? If you do something on another platform and you're on this platform predominantly, same background, same show, if somebody clips it and puts it in social media, the news, it's going to look like what? A YouTube channel. Because that's what they're going to assume it is. So YouTube's like, hey, man, basically a copyright strike on a different channel, kind of, you know. So We all like if you're doing your channel and you want monetization and you want to make money on YouTube, just know, the same thing to make folks laugh or make you cry at the end of the day. But I figure they're gonna get their monetization back in a month or so.
All right. So Kaizo and then Solo. So Kaizo, what are your closing thoughts? How do you want to wrap this up? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to disagree slightly about them getting their monetization back. According to what they've told us, they haven't told us that they had 3 strikes or something. As far as we know, YouTube made a concerted effort to say, hey, look, you're no longer able to make money on a platform. However, look, let's be realistic, right? They did not get removed from the platform. That's 1. 2, Fresh Prince CEO has his channel. Myron Gaines has his channel, right? What they could easily do, those channels isn't monetized, right? They could run them in tandem and literally say, hey, guys, if you want to send super chats and donations, do it on this channel. The business model is similar to mine, right? How I make money is, Ike, you know this, right? People come in and call Africans dusty, right? They send money to see Africans have a tribal warfare. Same thing with the Myron and the Fresh guy, right? They call in, or not call in, sorry. They send super chats to make fun of 3 or 4s. That is a business model that happens there. So I doubt that, if they're high IQ and they have a basic brain, they can simply monetize the other channels, run them in tandem, and say, hey, look, if you want to send super chats, do it here. All they have to do is just simply employ me, send me an email on Kaizo.
Wait,
Jonah.
time out. Wait, I just gotta
go ahead.
add something that you may not know, but they got
Yeah,
demonetized from all 5 of their channels, sir. Not
Dang,
just the main channel. Yeah, YouTube comes for the juggler, sir. They don't just come for one.
Okay, yeah, that's new information I didn't have before. So if that's the case, hey, look, all they can do is buy me a coffee, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, and yeah, shout out to you, brother. By the way, Solid, did you become a little bit more high IQ? For some reason, you've been, you've been stealing this show. Shout out to you. But yeah, that's all I would like to say. I'll say, look,
I
all they
spent
can do.
the last 10 months. I've spent more time talking to AI than human beings. So I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe that helps.
Mashallah. Mashallah, it definitely helped a lot, actually. So yeah, so I'd like to finish off saying thank you for killing my idea there. Focus on the tech, bro. Use the idea that I said about OBS. Integrate some API for the screen messaging on Buy Me a Coffee, PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. And I think that will still allow them to operate until they can sort of find a permanent solution. But yeah, that's what I would say. And I'll say in terms of free speech, if I think you were there on the platform that I made the stream about these guys when they made fun of the Abba and Preach, right? And I stated, you went too far. And this is the same thing I said, right? You made fun of the Yahoo Boys. You cannot talk about Yahoo Boys in a negative sense. Just leave that stuff out. Make fun of blacks, whites, just leave the Yahoo Boys out. That's what I would say.
Indeed. And we're going to go to Solo TV 84. And I did just end the poll. Okay. The poll says, is Google/YouTube racist? And we have 45% saying yes. And no taking the win with 54%. Solo TV 84. Give us your closing thoughts, sir.
Yeah. Nobody cares about that bitch ass nigga poll. So anyway, as I was saying, and shout out to Ike. And by the way, Dr. Thunder, I've got the ultimate respect for Dr. Thunder. I'm not coming at Dr. Thunder on some snake shit or hating, not at all. But I want people to understand that this right here, when we're talking about this red pill in 2023, we're talking about fighting for the youth. We're talking about the young guys. I know people are saying, "Oh, Solo, you're old too." Yes, I'm old. That's why now my content is curated more for the younger men, because I don't care about them old niggas. Now let's continue with these bars. So here's the thing. At the end of the day, let me just state this. I don't condone the whole Myron rocking the white hoodie. I don't condone the Nick Fuentes interview and even that Zerka weirdo. I don't condone that, right? I don't. The reality is this. Sometimes it's like Kevin Samuels said. When it came to Fresh and Fit, he was right. It's like Icarus flew close to the sun, right? And sometimes, and knowing these guys, when it comes to marketing and social media, Fresh is a genius. A lot of people don't know that. When I first met Fresh, he was asking me questions that people that I've met on YouTube that have been on YouTube for 10 years didn't even have the intelligence to ask me. This was before you even had a channel. So what am I saying? They will be fine. They have a loyal audience that will ride with them, a loyal audience that really believes in what they say, because there's a lot of young men out here that are frustrated, a lot of young men out here that are struggling. They've been lied to by society, their parents. And that's why Fresh and Fit, Andrew Tate, the Sneakos, that's why they blew up out of nowhere, is because they're talking to the youth. We're still here, a bunch of niggas talking about old nigga shit. Meanwhile, the youth are telling us what they want is on their concern, what they're worried about, and we're being dismissive. And this is one of the reasons why I always say, as an old nigga, I can learn new tricks. Why? Because at the end of the day, I know how shitty dating is. I've been in the dating field. I've been in relationships. I know how shitty it is. So I can only imagine if you're 22, 23, and you're broke trying to date these busted ass, raggedy ass, ratchet ass females with their mindset, how terrible it has to be. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, the solution is very simple, whether people agree with me or not. Men have to ban. If men are really real about this, there are different solutions. But let me keep it basic, so that way I can follow these bars, right? The simple solution is start developing your own infrastructure, your own website, your own servers, your own apps, right? There's enough money. We know you go on Fresh and Fit. It looks like Kevin Samuels back in the day when Ike used to drop $200. That's the type of audience they got. So we know the money is not an objective for them. They can do that. The reality is, yes, we know YouTube has the ultimate pull. You can do your content, make it YouTube friendly, and then migrate it to Rumble, Locals, Patreon, whatever. But at the end of the day, we're going to continue to face this problem until we do our own infrastructure. Now, we had Black Avengers TV a few years ago, but I can't really rate that because that shit was some weirdo website for incels. We got to have a real decentralized platform where you can go in, and if they try to shut you down, they can't. So at the end of the day, the power's to the people. Are y'all going to stay getting bent over and fucked in the ass, pause, by YouTube? Or are you guys going to finally do something about it and say, you know what? We're tired of this feminist bullshit. We're going to have our own infrastructure at the very least. Because we know you Negroes ain't going to get politically active. So what the fuck is it going to be? Is it going to be, because I know when these AI robots come out, y'all niggas is going. But that's not for another 10, 20 years. So what the fuck are y'all going to do in the meantime? That's all I got to say. Mic drop.
Indeed, they are waiting to drop their pants for the AI overlords, sir. Very well put. Very well put. So, Dr. Thunder, you're going to close us out in what has been an active show about the death of Black YouTube, whereby Black YouTube is kind of being used as something adjacent to kind of a certain kind of sensationalism that is outside the Overton window of the powers that be. Dr. Thunder, what are your closing thoughts?
Yeah, who's the comedian? 5150 Corey Holcomb. I mean, this is the kind of thing that could affect his show too. He says all kind of wild stuff on his show. So it's not just so-called red pill that should be on notice about this. And to your sentiment, Solo, I know we just talking on a panel right now, mutual respect. And if it wasn't for your content, I wouldn't be on here right now. Your content was the first content that red pill content that I actually checked out. So anyhow, yeah, it's a problem that needs to be solved. I think those that have the resources will be able to solve this, because as Solo put it, it's not a revenue issue. It's not that you don't have people that people are willing to spend money to support Fresh and Fit. If you have that kind of base, then you can go somewhere else. This is one of the reasons why Kevin Samuels used to preach platform being platform agnostic. And so he'd have stuff on Instagram, he had stuff on YouTube. Those are the main platforms, but there are other platforms. There's a lot of other platforms. Depending on what it is that I'm doing, I will. So my morning shows tend to be just on YouTube, but a lot of my other stuff tends to be simul-streamed. And I'm doing that as a safeguard. Also, I'm doing it because I want to reach more people, but I'm also doing it as a safeguard. So if YouTube goes down, if one of the other platforms go down, I can still be, I can still be doing my show, no problem. But yeah, to a point also that Solo was making about if they're willing to go after folks that are making YouTube a lot of money, like Fresh and Fit, then you dusty ninjas that are getting $5 super chats instead of the $500 super chats or whatever, that ain't no money. So with no remorse, they will get rid of you. So folks have to be on notice and need to be careful. Getting off of relying only on one platform is the key. That is the key. And as far as the Overton window goes, the Overton window has and will continue to shrink. It is shrinking. It is shrinking. And even though there seems to be a sort of pushback from the sort of political right against the sort of, feminism taking over too much territory, as it were, and the pendulum being pushed too far to one direction, you need to understand that as they push that pendulum back, they're also pushing back against you, Negro. And that's thanks to all of the caucusing that Black folks have done with the rainbow.
And so shall it be, for so it was written. For after God punished them, the rainbow came out. I don't know, something like that, right?
No. Actually, the rainbow came out after the flood, Ike.
That's what I'm saying, right? After God punished them with the flood, the rainbow came out.
Open the floodgates of heaven, let it gay.
Hey, Ike, real quick, and once again, Dr. Thunder, I wasn't trying to raise my voice at you. It's just that I'm the comic relief, but sometimes I come in like a firecracker. You know what I'm saying? Because real talk, you guys, I love your energy levels because then my energy is a little bit higher than yours. I just say that respectfully. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no beef with Dr. Thunder. I fuck with Dr. Thunder. I don't want people to say,
"Oh no."
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think if people are paying attention, they'll know that that's the case.
Yeah, but doesn't matter what happened,
That's
man.
cool.
Your Car Thunder videos are getting good views, man. Even I've been out here clicking in them, listening to them when I'm going out there in the gym. Shout out to you, brother.
Indeed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a great one. Thanks again for all the super chatters. Thanks again for all the support. Thanks to Chilani for buying, sponsoring other people's with the memberships. Kaizo did the same thing. Thank you to you too. Anti-Gravity also super chatted. Mrs.
I got a
H
question,
super
Ike,
chatted.
actually. It went to my brother. That's kind of weird, man. Does YouTube know who's family and stuff? That's crazy, right?
Interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, again,
I get some more XRP, my nigga. Not now. I'll let you know when. But yeah, XRP is going up $3 by the end of the year, bro.
Indeed, and by the way, Bitcoin is hovering and is going down a little bit in terms of around that kind of $25,000 range right now. It's probably going to get down to 15, but don't bet on it. But I think once it goes up, it's not coming back to these areas again. So we're looking probably like 2025 for us to see another nice little summer of 2020 type situation after the halving. Those who know, after the halving of the Bitcoin cycle and whatnot. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, case closed, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come to Dr. Thunder's channel next week, where it shall be. Dr. Thunder and I will be doing also our regular Wednesday show, getting ish done, and all that other
Skills and resources. Skills and resources.
Skills and resources. Shout out to AM1 in the building. Skills and resources. Skills and resources. Indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are out. Thank you very much. Peace.
In the den of iniquity, vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment, what a pity. Tomorrow never certain, what draws behind the curtain, the face of evil smirking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, that either pop or topple, many will fall and stumble, let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso, cannons will breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Word 'em up, word 'em up, word 'em up. Seems like we're still here. It's the after show, after stream. I see Solo. Solo's over there hiding. Where the pogs at, Solo? Indeed. I'm not gonna put you on blast. Okay. Christ fed the multitude with only one loaf of bread. Poor people, there is something for you. Don't let the pressures of the system get up on your head. Poor people, there is something for you. Mankind cares not for his sisters anymore. Still, there is something for you. Written in the book of life, we shall live forevermore. There will be something for you. Rasta works are manifest and it a blossom and a bloom. Nature always take its course, the tide is rising with the moon. It only take a spark to put the fire to the fuel. What is hidden in the dark shall be revealed so very soon. Tell Pharaoh free the prisoners from the dungeons and the doom. Word 'em up, word 'em up, word 'em up, word 'em up, word.